Hello, everybody. sPidA here, the Fight Card Podcast, coming to you once again from San Antonio, Texas, being joined by Marina Robles out of Corpus Christi. Now, thank you for jumping on this once again. I appreciate you giving me a few times. And I mean, I've had you on here quite a bit, basically because you're the only one that says yes. I'm joking. No, but I appreciate you jumping on this because, I mean, of course, I mean, I'm trying to get everybody's story out, fights coming up, whether or not you have something coming up or not. But I wanted to backtrack a little bit and talk about this last fight you had. I mean, of course, it was for the Fury Amateur Series 40. And your opponent was no slouch. I mean, neither are you. I mean, both of you, of course, compete and train as hard as y'all do. But your opponent came in with a lot of cage time. And, of course, you knew that going into that fight.
Yes, yeah, I did. I knew she was pretty experienced. She had well over 5 fights already, and I knew this was going to be just my third one. But I was excited for it. If anything, it made me want to prepare more and more excited because I like being pushed to rise to the occasion. So I was excited to have someone who was more serious, more experienced. It was a good experience too, a good learning experience.
No, for sure. And I mean, right now in the amateur ranks, that's pretty much what it's about, right? I mean, putting yourself in bad situations against better wrestlers, better strikers, just to so you can experience that until when you're ready to go to the big show and go pro. You know, you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you. I mean, of course, going into that fight, I mean, I know the people that you train with. One of them, you know, Peter Caballero, man, this guy fights every week. I don't know what's up with that, but
No, like every other week it seems like he's gone. I haven't seen him in practice just because we keep missing each other. He's all traveling.
For sure, and I'm pretty sure he's avoiding you. He probably doesn't want to work on his wrestling, or but we'll ask him later. But of course, I mean, the guy, you know, he's been competing in boxing and MMA. Got a good win this past, Friday. I mean, about things. I thought I had interviewed him, and I thought it was Sunday, like always, and he said, "No, man, it's Friday," and I'm like, "Man, that threw me off because I was like,
Yeah.
feel right, you know." But I mean, with something like that, because of course all your fights have been on different days. I mean, is there a day that you're kind of like, you know what, I wish it would just be Saturday, or I mean, do you have a set preference on what days you think you should fight?
Oh, it could be any day. If anything, the Sunday I just feel bad for like my family and friends and all of them that want to travel to see because they have work Monday. But like for me, I mean, it's any time, any day. Just let me know when, and I'll be ready.
Ring that bell, ding ding, let's go. No, and of course, I mean, your training. You have not competed in Corpus Christi, right? There hasn't been any promotions out there.
Yeah, no.
And I know the promotions. I mean, they're floating around. A lot of them are fighting in small towns, so maybe they'll make it back out there. But one of your sponsors, you know, Rock's, as far as the nutritional shop. I mean, the owner actually used to have a promotion back in the day. You know, Rock's Extreme Cage Fighting, and you know, I was always like, man, I wonder if they'll start doing that again. I mean, I know there's been talks and there've been people bringing stuff up, but I mean, how it seems about like every city, like here in Texas, everybody's getting their own promotion now. I think it's time for Corpus to get one, right?
Right? Yeah, we need one. I mean, I remember when Rox had theirs because I went to, I think, like 1 or 2 fights. My dad was really into it and he had tickets that he got from work. So I remember Rox having their cage fighting promotion. But then, yeah, I didn't hear about it for a while. And then now I know Texas Clash. They're local here out of Corpus, but they haven't had a fight in Corpus yet. It's been in like Victoria. I think they have one coming up in Kingsville. So in the surrounding areas. Yeah.
No, yeah, and of course, I mean, of course, here in San Antonio, also, I mean, it's been a while. I know Fury does their thing, and they come through here quite a bit, so that's cool. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there because I said, you know what, I haven't heard anything from Corpus in a while. I mean, you guys have a stable of fighters. South Texas, of course, all the small towns around there. I mean, there's no doubt you guys will sell out.
Yeah, it would be really nice too because friends and family could come and also and watch live.
Drive home that night, right? They don't have to worry about
Yeah.
traveling a few hours. But let me ask you, I mean, one of the things, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, we've been talking about is your weight class. I mean, because of course, like you said, I mean, you're tiny, like you mentioned, you're shorter usually than a lot of your opponents and your teammates when it comes to training. But I mean, do you feel that maybe there should be a lower weight class than you're in right now, or is this it?
I go back and forth just because in high school I wrestled at 102. So it's not like I'm not comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it. Everyone's always been bigger than me. I know it's something that I just got to kind of work around. I've already talked to my coaches, on things I can improve to not let that hinder, my growth and my record. So it's not like something I want to shy away from. But I have also competed in Muay Thai tournaments. They had a weight class that was pin weight, and that was 97 pounds. And I did feel
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, 97 pounds. So that's actually normally like what I walk around at natural, 97 to 99 pounds. So I've been putting on weight, and it was really weird because I weighed in at 104 the night before weigh-ins at this last fight. But when I weighed in that morning, I weighed in at 102. So yeah, I guess I lost 2 pounds overnight. But yeah, it is definitely something that it's like it could go either way. I'm not opposed to the idea of it. I did feel stronger around the girls that were 97 pounds.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's definitely still like the 102, 105 range. Like, I'm good for it.
No, yeah, so no complaints. I mean, of course, you
Yeah.
sign up and you go out there and fight, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, as far as training, because we've mentioned, I mean, of course, wrestling, mixed martial arts. I mean, the fact that you train, competed in Muay Thai, I mean, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that. So, I mean, was that kind of like a not comfort? I mean, was that out of your comfort zone because you have been a wrestler? I mean, when you started doing Muay Thai, were you kind of like, okay, let's see where this goes?
I was excited for it. I actually always told myself, like when I first saw all the fighting and stuff like that, I remember seeing Vanderlei Silva, and I liked his style of fighting. And so I always told myself, like, one day I'm just gonna try it. I'm just gonna try class, gonna say I can do it. And then yeah, once I did it, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So doing the tournament, I didn't go into the tournament probably as competitive as I should have. It was still for me at that time kind of like seeing if this is really what I want to do. But then yeah, after that tournament, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do.
You see, and being a wrestler, did the clinch kind of like, was that like a comfort zone?
Actually, it it kind of made me a little more stiff. I feel like, yeah, just being so used to being square in front of somebody and like bracing yourself versus Muay Thai, which is very fluid, lots of flowing, moving, and yeah. So that was actually probably the hardest thing for me was footwork at first.
Okay, I was gonna say because yeah, I mean they clinch in Muay Thai a lot, but yeah, I guess being the pressure to being more fluid, like you said, I mean, of course that makes a difference. So I mean, is that something that you're looking at maybe getting into later in life? I mean, to try out maybe next year as far as Muay Thai?
Yeah, I mean, if there's Muay Thai fights available, boxing available, any grappling, anything like that. I actually talked to my coach about doing more grappling competitions. Anything to keep me more well-rounded when I don't actually have a fight is what I want to do, just so that way I can always stay like in competition mode, and always just see what I need to improve on next. Because right now, amateur, it's practice, so this is all just kind of like testing where I'm at. And then, in a couple months, I'm studying, I'm training, and gonna test again and see what else I need to improve. So,
Sure. And one of the things I was gonna ask you was because the last two fights, you were like, as soon as the fight was over, your coach was like, okay, we got something lined up. So this time there was nothing, right?
yeah, this time there's nothing, unfortunately, yet. They are in the works of talking and working around, but it's just finding someone in this weight class. That's always going to be another thing I'm going to have to deal with, I guess. But the good thing is, it does seem like there are girls out there. So it's just kind of setting something up and making sure everyone is game for it.
No, and let me ask you, I mean, pin weight, I had never heard of that. So do you think something like that? I mean, because of you and others, I mean, you think it should be out there for MMA?
Possibly. I mean, I know 102. Like, I haven't seen anyone in 105 fight in UFC yet. But I know they have it on One Champion. So maybe the idea of having even another weight class below, maybe in the future, might come up. Just because I think still finding like 105ers is probably more important right now before making a new weight class. But yeah, like when I did that competition, I mean, my bracket was full, so they are out there. I guess it's just seeing if who wants to take it further, and go pro with it.
No, yeah, and a lot of times too, even back in the day, like when not so much when women started competing in MMA, but I mean when it was getting a little bit bigger and you started having athletes, it was hard. So I mean a lot of fighters had to come out from New Mexico, from Louisiana, just because promoters couldn't find anybody. And as soon as somebody would, I guess it's kind of like, as soon as somebody hears like, oh, there's a woman fighter, like everybody wants it. Oh man, like let's match her up, and they're trying to find her fights because it's hard. It's hard to find women at certain weight classes with the experience, especially. And is that kind of like what this last fight was? I mean, it was like, you know what, I can't find nobody else at that 105, so let's just let's try this one out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a talk with my coach early on, Coach Pat, about, whenever a fight comes, if I feel like you're ready, if my coach feels like I'm ready, he's just going to say yes. It doesn't matter who the person is. So he felt confident in where I was already, I guess, from what he's been seeing in practice and, just my last fight. So he felt that I was ready to take her on. And I even felt like I was ready too, because like it was just like another stepping stone. Like I got to see, what someone else at a higher level is like. And I just kind of got to, like I said, rise to the occasion, see if that was something I could hang with. And I was able to, I didn't give up. I didn't gas out. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I actually took that fight. I really am.
No, and of course, I mean, because you've been fighting outside of Corpus, is the crowd? I'm pretty sure in Houston it was pretty loud for your opponent because that was her hometown. So, of course, I mean, did that kind of at any point in your fight did it kind of get to you or?
No, actually, it's so funny because whenever I was doing the walkout, I couldn't help. I was trying so hard not to smile and be more like tough and serious, but I was so in my own world. I think just because I was like, this is happening. Like, I know this isn't pro yet, but this is going that direction. This is not something that everyone just gets to do. So I was kind of just like living the moment. And I know like I could hear the crowd, but I didn't really let it get to me, I guess, just because I was even just happy to be there, happy to be that far.
No, for sure. And one of the things, as far as smiling, because that happens even with the guys, I'm out there and they're trying to pose. I think it was in Austin, and Jorge Macaco was up in Houston, and he ended up moving outside the state. But I took a picture with him, and I'm like, hey, I'm a longtime fan. I said, man, back Valley Dudo. And I said, can I take a photo? And he's like, yeah. So he took a picture, and he looks at it, and he's like, no, one more, smiling. So he gets it and he starts making his face, and I was like, "What?" Like, okay, cool. And I didn't post the one where he was smiling, which everybody does it, but I guess it was just like, no, one more, and he does this little tough guy face, But he was cool, man. Everybody's always been good down to earth. It's kind of funny because I'm at weigh-ins, I'm at fights, and these guys are over here cracking up, joking, smiling, and it's like when you see them in the cage, you're like, oh damn, like you gotta hit that switch and business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you, as far as, I mean, being a competitor, I mean, of course, you're still an amateur, but I mean, you're training alongside, pro fighters and people that have been in the big show. I mean, is there somebody that you would run into that you would get like fanboyish about, like, like just kind of like, oh man, I want to meet this fight, this fighter. I mean, it's other than Elias Garcia, there's somebody else out there.
Fanboyish because like I'm a fan because I look up to them, or fanboyish because I have like a crush on like a celebrity crush?
I mean, I guess just a fighter. I mean, somebody that, because I've been covering the sport for years, and I've been next to Cain Velasquez. I've been, when they were title holders, and it doesn't hit me till like afterwards, and I'm like, oh damn, like I was there next to the champ, and
Yeah.
but it never hits me till after I'm done, and because I'm busy, I'm doing photos, I'm doing video. But I mean, for you, who would it be? Who would be somebody that you're like, oh man, like I'm standing next to this guy or this fighter?
The three that come to my head right now are Grasso, Barber, Macy Barber, and
Yeah.
Mount Fairtex. Like if I was to run into them, I would be like, oh my gosh, I need to take a picture. Like this is not happening. Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like everybody's like, oh man, like I always do my photos and I'm like, hey, can I take a photo? But it's rare that I get autographs because it's just like everybody's trying to get it, and I'm gonna leave them alone. I don't know, I had told you this, but I covered, it was a UFC press conference in Austin. Vandele Silva and Charles Sonnen were at the Austin, what was it, Academy Sports, right? And I went out there. I used to work with Academy Sports for years, so I knew like the managers, and I had told them, I said, man, can you give me like, can you call them and tell them if I can volunteer? Like, I want to help. And they're like, okay, yeah. And so they did. So I was out there while they're doing the autographs and all that. And I'm waiting in line, and the guy's like, hey, man, you can't, no autographs, by employees, right? And I was like, man, and I was just waiting. And I said, you know what, screw it. I don't even work here. I'm not even from here. So I went and I went to the camping department. I bought an axe handle. And so I was like, you know what? And I put it in my back pocket. I paid for it. I put the receipt. I taped it. And when I was at, everybody's waiting in line, I was like, man, I'm going to go ask him. And so I asked Vandalay, and I said, can I get your autograph? And he looks at it and he's like, oh, man, good, and he signs it. So it's the Axe Murderer. But he's like my all-time like favorite fighter. So of course I had to. I was just like, man, nobody said anything, but I was ready. I was like, man, I don't even work here, man. I'm gonna go back home.
Worth it.
For sure, because I have it, and everybody's like, man, what? Like, but it didn't have the axe part on it. So I was just like, yeah, it was just a handle. But I put it together, so it's hanging on my wall. So that's definitely one of those go-to pieces.
That's cool. That's cool.
Now, let me ask you, as far as social media, I mean, everybody, of course, when it comes to your sponsors, you're always out there, promoting the product, promoting services. Is there something out there that maybe you wanted to pursue? Like maybe, I mean, because even now you're doing it. You're actually, promoting yourself with content and constantly just talking about all these sponsors that you have. But is that something that maybe you could see yourself doing a little bit more? Like even, more sponsors out there that want to hit you up?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm really enjoying it actually. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I have some steady sponsors now to where it does like it is something that I do on a regular basis. And it gives me a chance to create and just kind of dip into that artsy side, humor side, or whatever it is that I'm feeling on creating that day. And then even just staying in touch with the community. Like just a second ago, I met up with a guy that had helped me basically put my name out there on another podcast also. And so he wrote a book. And so we met up at Rocks, and we are just talking about how like the unity in the community kind of a thing, because he's local also. And we're just like all supporting local businesses. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's something like I wish more people did, like just for the goodness out of their heart, spreading their friends' business.
No, you see, and that's one of the things, because people always talk about like helping your friends, like, they have a business, like help them instead of asking them for discounts. It's just like, hey, you know what? I mean, go and support their business and, pay for the product or pay for the, for the shirts or whatever they have. But that's one of the things I've been doing. I mean, I actually bought a Chris Paceto shirt for his fight that happened. And I was like, you know what? And I already have a couple of fighter shirts. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing that. I mean, that's the least I can do as a fan and I need a new wardrobe. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? I need a new shirt,
That's cool.
Now, let me ask you, as far as a content creator, and that was the word I was looking for. I mean, when you're out there doing the video, I mean, obviously it's out in public, but are there people walking around looking at you like, what's this one doing?
Sometimes, yeah. I think also people are kind of used to it now. Like it's more common. So they just kind of like look and then they just go about their own business.
No.
But before, like, yeah, it definitely would be nerve wracking. And even now, sometimes I still get nervous. I'm just like, oh my God, but I know I got to do it. So it's fine.
That's one of the things, because I mean, I'm a contract delivery driver here in San Antonio, and I haven't seen it as much like now, but before, like, yeah, I would be at apartments and I would see like, like girls out there like doing, and I'm like looking at them, what are they doing? And I see the camera and I'm like, oh, okay, but I'm thinking, man, I don't know what they're smoking, but out there creating content. Now, let me ask you, I mean, as far as this year, are you looking to compete before the end of the year, or are you just gonna wait till the new year?
I'd like to if something comes up. I'm not too sure actually, like if my coaches would prefer me to sit out or anything. They haven't mentioned that. If anything, they're just mentioning that I stay ready in case something comes up. So if that does happen, I would definitely be down for it.
No, and earlier too, I mean, I was going to ask you your take on a couple of fights coming up. Of course, this Saturday, it's going to be in Las Vegas, the UFC. Mackenzie Dern, this is a strawweight taking on Yan. On that bout, I mean, are you going to watch? And I mean, who do you have winning that main event?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch. Usually every Saturday, that's what I'm doing, watching the fights. And if there's not an event coming on, then I'll just like YouTube something. But I'm kind of torn. At first, I thought maybe Yan because of her striking, but now as it's getting closer and I'm watching more videos, more like just postings that Dern has been posting and her training and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I think she might take it. Like I think she might. She just has that I don't know, that confidence that like I think she might win.
No, I mean for sure it's going to be a striker versus grappler. I would say, I mean Mackenzie Dern. I actually saw her fight here against Catherine Roy at the Cowboys Dance Hall years back for Legacy Fighting Championship, and having her watch her now, and I'm thinking, you know what, man? I mean, it's always like a one in a million. I mean, of course she had her name. People know her from her dad, but I mean, of course, know her from her accomplishments, because she's won titles, she's done grappling, jiu-jitsu, I mean, you name it. And the fact that she's testing herself and going on there, that's because I know she had a kid like, a couple months back. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, to come back from, like, wow, okay. She still wants to fight. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like that grit. I forgot she had her baby and just a couple months after it was like back to training.
I know when I heard that, I was like, man, like, how does that happen? But, I mean, your body. So of course, she was ready, then be it. But, the fight that I wanted to ask you about was for UFC 280. I mean, that's going to be their next pay-per-view, and it's going to take place in Abu Dhabi. I think I was looking at the time frame, and it's like 12 o'clock noon here, which on a Saturday. So I'm like, man, really? That's going to be weird. But I'm self-employed, so I'm gonna be home. I'll be watching this fight.
I'll be
But
practicing.
of course, I know, and it's going to be a good one. I mean, of course, the main event it is for the vacant lightweight championship title. Charles Oliveira taking on Islam Makhachev. Now, everybody's talking about it. I mean, the fact that it's in Abu Dhabi, I know Charles Oliveira was saying that he wanted it in Brazil, and they said no. So now it's happening in Abu Dhabi. I mean, whether or not it's going to affect them, we'll see. But a fight like that, I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, of course, Islam, I mean, 22-1. Charles Olivera, I mean, he's been making it look too easy, taking on Justin, Gaethje, and just all these guys that were on the, steamrolling a lot of people. And he's just gone in there and submitted everybody, which is, crazy. But I mean, who do you have winning that main event?
For that one, I'm gonna have to say Islam. I'm a Charles Oliveira fan. Oh my god, I feel like Peter's gonna get mad at me.
That's the end of the game, by the way. No, I'm just joking. I'm a huge Olivera fan, so yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good one, but.
But I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna be Islam. I really can't say why. I guess. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, like he's been popular for a while, Charles Oliveira. He's been on a high note for a while too, and I feel like he's either gonna win this or maybe this could be like the start of a little bit of like some losses. I'm not too sure. Islam's good. I mean, he has a great record for a reason. So I'm really not too sure honestly on that one. But I guess if I had to choose, I'm gonna say Islam.
No, no. You see, and one of the things with Charles Oliveira, because the guy, for the longest time, he was a dark horse. Like he was just
Yeah,
winning. And he wasn't in contention. Nobody was talking about title fight, and he just kept winning. And then finally, when it opened up and he jumped on it, I mean, of course, he got the title. But I mean, the fact that he's taken like Michael Chandler took him out, Tony Ferguson. I mean, Dustin Poirier. And I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, the guy is a champion for a reason. I mean,
yeah,
he's been tested. He was fighting people just because he wanted to keep busy, But yeah, I mean, on this one, depending on training, I always say people, this is one of those fights where it's like if Charles Oliveira loses, it's because he's not ready. Like I
right.
don't see him losing because he's not better or he's not, but it's gonna be either bad weight cut, bad training, bad something, and but it is gonna be a good fight. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm gonna pull for the Bronx, of course. Charles Oliveira, but yeah, I mean, it can go either way, especially at that level.
Yeah, I know that's the craziness about it that keeps you on edge, right? It could go either way, matter of a split second.
I know, and it's like, I mean, all this stress and that I'm going through is just because of the fights. Of course, I mean they're getting better and better. I'm going to be traveling, I think, San Angelo this weekend to cover a fight, and it's going to be fun. I mean, I like going out there and traveling. I mean, like I said, I used to go to Corpus quite a bit just for promotions like Rocks and other ones that I've gone through. But I mean, for yourself, I mean, when other teammates compete, do you travel with them, or does it depend on your scheduling?
It depends on the schedule and the funds at the time. I know sometimes we'll carpool, the guys will carpool. I haven't been out of town yet, but the one that's going to be in Kingsville, I am planning on going to that one. We're gonna have two guys actually making their like comeback debut. It's Baker and Eddie Ortiz, Christopher Baker or Christian Baker, Chris Baker. I only call him Baker actually, so it's but him and Eddie Ortiz. I think his last fight was like 7 years ago, so they're gonna be coming back. I'm really excited for them. Really, really excited. They put in a lot of hard work, so I'm definitely gonna make a trip out there to that one because Kingsville's not that far.
No, I was gonna say that's right next door. I mean, I've been to Kingsville also, and of course, Corpus. I mean, like I said, it's been a while, so hopefully, people watching this, maybe they'll start popping up, or even if Fury were to go back to Corpus, that'd be pretty cool.
The American Bank Center, that would be great.
That's a good spot. I mean, I've always, man, yeah, I think 3 of the fights that I ever went to were there, so it's a great location. I mean, of course, it's huge. So, but let me ask you, as far as the content creator, like you said earlier, I mean, you come up with something. I mean, you feel like, oh man, I want to do this. I mean, how do you come up with your content? Is it something that pops in your head, or what's going on?
Yeah, that's one of the ways. Sometimes it'll just be something random. I'll hear a song and I'll just like have a vision, I guess, a picture.
I'll write this down. You're like,
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll actually just have to sit on Instagram and go through reels and, be inspired. I don't want to necessarily copy somebody, but I put my own twist on something or just get an idea about something. So that's usually my two ways is just kind of like finding inspiration or it'll just hit me out of nowhere.
no, you see, and that's one of the things too, because a lot of, especially on Facebook, I mean, I see people posting memes, and a lot of times it's awkward. It's funny because they'll post something and it's about something else, but I see it differently, and I'm like, oh man, it reminds me of this, and so
Yeah.
I'll crop it and I'll do something else, but it's just, yeah, my mind's always racing. So of course, I mean, coming up with stuff is always a must, for just to put out there, for the fans and everybody else watching. But let me ask you, earlier I was talking to you about maybe bringing you on here as a collaborator. Maybe whenever you have time, of course, I would love to be able to shop it up and definitely start doing fight breakdowns too. I want to get the full card and we'll go over the main event and we'll see how many you get right and vice versa, but we'll do a little wager and see how we go. But yeah, if that works, with your time, your scheduling, of course, maybe we can start doing this, as much as possible during the month,
Yeah, for sure. That would be fun. I would really enjoy that.
No, for sure. And of course, don't hang up yet. Of course, I'm going to bring you in here just to kind of plug you in and introduce you that way. But also as a fighter and content creator, maybe people want to hire you. We'll see. Get you some business. But don't hang up yet. Of course, everybody out there. Of course, this is sPidA DeFi Card Podcast. Until next time, follow up.